He recalls the moment he discovered his innate ability, a turning point when he ceased to be the lowest of the low, once called the bottom of the barrel. He now realizes he is no longer bound by that label, sweating and determined. He admits that from that day forward he stopped being human. Now standing apart from the crowd, he leans casually against the wall, his expression calm yet resolute. Around him, life moves on. People gather, converse, and go about their business, unaware of the transformation he has undergone. His presence alone hints at the power and change that set him apart from everyone else. As the protagonist notices the long line at the guild, a large, smug man cuts in front. Irritating those waiting, the protagonist calls him out. But the man dismisses the warning with a mocking tone, clearly underestimating him. Tension rises as the protagonist stands his ground despite the size difference. The large man mocks the protagonist, belittling him as an E-rank bottom feeder while boasting about his own B-rank status. Despite the insult, the protagonist's expression hardens with determination. The bully arrogantly reminds him to know his place. But then suddenly, the protagonist grabs the man's hair, catching him off guard. The guild master firmly reprimands the man for cutting in line, warning him that not knowing his place could lead to demotion. The man nervously apologizes, while the guild master instructs Arga to report such incidents to staff immediately. Despite the tension, the guild master's expression softens as he sighs, hinting at something more on his mind. The protagonist awkwardly explains he had free time and insists it was fine to leave Kanado's party. Approaching the counter, he reports his departure, prompting surprise from the staff. He nervously begins to explain, hinting at an underlying reason for leaving. 3 hours earlier, the guild master, flanked by 2 stern women, declares with authority that Arga is being banished. Arga, caught off guard, responds with a confused, "Huh." Arga is stunned as he hears he's being banished simply because he's a tamer. The woman harshly declares that tamers, who only befriend monsters, are not needed. Another person steps in, offering to explain what's wrong with being a tamer as Arga anxiously questions the judgment. The harsh critic explains that tamers grow too slowly because they share experience points with their monster companions, leaving Arga as the only E-rank in the party. Another voice adds that without monsters, tamers are just weaklings, and all their members are weaklings too. Arga nervously tries to confirm with Kanado if it was really okay to leave, seeking reassurance. Kanado coldly dismisses Arga's claim of companionship, labeling him a dead weight who drags the entire party down. As Kanado mocks the idea of being companions, Arga nervously tries to defend their 2-year bond, but Kanado's harsh words leave him uneasy, while the others laugh cruelly. Arga learns that his adventurer card hasn't been updated in 2 years, prompting him to nervously agree to the update. As he contemplates the passage of time since his banishment, he's handed a mysterious, persistent-looking orb, leaving him curious about its purpose. A cheerful girl explains that the new status checker uses a crystal to read a person's status, replacing the old system of written applications that were often falsified. A man adds that the crystal's information is then transferred directly to the adventurer's card. Ensuring accuracy, Arga listens intently, curious about the crystal's capabilities. As the girl reads Arga's status from the crystal, she lists his age, race, and rank, along with his occupation as a tamer and fusionist. Suddenly, Arga notices something wrong and declares that the crystal is broken, leaving the girl surprised. Arga is shocked to see the crystal listing a second occupation for him, something he never knew about. Despite his protests, the crystal clearly shows skills related to being a fusionist, leaving everyone stunned. The possibility of a hidden second job begins to sink in, raising more questions than answers. Arga learns that while most people have only one occupation, a rare few possess 2, a phenomenon called 2 occupations. The man explains this is extremely advantageous for job changes but incredibly rare, occurring statistically only once in 1,000 years. Arga is stunned by the sheer improbability of his situation. Arga excitedly wonders if this could be a complete role reversal, calling himself a once-in-1,000 years prodigy. However, when asked about the fusionist occupation, the others admit they've never heard of it. Arga speculates that, based on the name, it might be an occupation related to crossbreeding monsters. Confused and doubtful, the others question if fusion is really such a rare skill or something any tamer can do. They nervously ask Arga if he can actually perform it, leaving him caught off guard and uncertain how to respond. Arga holds up a sheet of paper and calls out confidently, asking his companions to reveal themselves. As he speaks, long shadows stretch dramatically across the ground, hinting at the arrival of something significant. The monsters emerge from the shadows, ready and waiting as Arga smiles warmly, declaring them the foundation for today's fusion. With a calm and confident tone, he signals the start of the process. His companion status is now open and prepared. Arga reviews the stats of his monsters, Noting their low levels and weak attack and defense, despite their poor stats, he confidently decides to begin the fusion process, starting with baby dragon Lala. He then selects a bat to fuse with the dragon, preparing to combine their strengths. Arga admits he's been fusing monsters naturally, but the older man clarifies that a tamer's role is only to command monsters, not to crossbreed them. He questions where Arga got the idea that any tamer could create new monsters through fusion. Arga, caught off guard, hesitates to respond. Arga awkwardly admits he's self-taught and doesn't know any other tamers, revealing his isolated reality. He reluctantly acknowledges his lack of friends and banishment, but quickly tries to shake it off. Determined, he refocuses on the task at hand, ready to continue the fusion process. Arga smirks, embracing his identity as a fusionist, and decides to call the process mixed fusion art, because it sounds cooler. With determination, he confidently selects yes to fuse baby dragon Lala and the bat. As the fusion begins, a burst of energy surrounds him while the two monsters prepare to combine. The fused monster, Dorama, shows slight changes in wing shape and color, while its growl oddly translates to Dorama. Arga notes that although overall stats have decreased, the bat's ultrasonic wave skill has been added, keeping racial skills unchanged. Excited, Arga concludes that the fusion has made the monster stronger overall. Arga passionately promises to make his monster stronger, reaffirming his role as their fusionist. As he holds Dorama up, his determination shines through, inspiring hope. The monsters quietly acknowledge their fortune, sensing the bond and potential growing between them. Despite being hailed as a once-in-a-thousand-years talent, he admits to feeling weak and longs to grow stronger through fusion. Just like his monsters, his clenched fist reveals his deep determination to improve himself alongside them. Haunted by the memory of those who doubted him, he clenches his resolve to prove them wrong. With a fierce determination, he envisions showing them the true power of fusion. The quiet scene of him with his monsters underscores his growing conviction as he shouts, "Fusion!" A sudden realization strikes him. Since humans and monsters are so alike both magically and biologically, could he actually fuse with a monster? The thought both excites and terrifies him as he hesitates, questioning whether he should take the leap and try fusing himself with a monster. Fear grips him as he contemplates the risks. Failing could mean death or becoming a monstrous chimera. Yet, the possibility of gaining immense strength by fusing with the lesser arachne ignites a fierce determination within him. With a resolute shout, he chooses to embrace the unknown and activates the mixed fusion art. As the mixed fusion art takes effect, his body begins to shimmer and dissolve into particles, a sign that the fusion process has started. He watches his hands in awe and anxiety, feeling the intense, unfamiliar energy coursing through him. The surrounding monsters react to the sudden surge of power, their forms blurring as the fusion unfolds. He gasps in relief, realizing he's still alive after the fusion. As he checks himself, he notices nothing seems abnormal and excitedly declares his success. But then, his expression shifts to shock as he spots a status window, something only monsters should have. He stares in disbelief as the status window reveals he has changed to a demon human, granting him a status screen. Realizing he has unexpectedly stopped being human, he processes this shocking transformation with a mix of awe and confusion. At the Adventurers Guild, excitement fills the air as the young adventurer eagerly grabs a quest. Ready to take on the challenge, others watch with curiosity, wondering if there are truly that many promising requests in the area. With determination, the adventurer dashes off to begin the journey. With a firm declaration, the adventurer claims the goblin extermination quest in the Northern Plains. Though the reward is modest due to the simplicity of the task, the adventurer is eager to test their strength. The guild clerk looks on, curious about the adventurer's determination. The adventurer awkwardly admits to having undergone a rebirth, hinting that these physical changes are only the beginning. The guild member looks confused, asking what they mean. Without further explanation, the adventurer quickly rushes out, leaving the others calling after him in surprise. The guild members exchange curious glances, wondering if something is off about Argasan. They discuss his claim of being reborn and question why he would take on such a low-reward goblin extermination quest, especially since he's not a beginner. Despite their doubts, they acknowledge his determination to start fresh. Concerned, a guild member wonders if Argasan will be all right, while the adventurer notes that the northern plains have become quite dangerous. In the distance, goblins gather, and a voice calls out, spotting them nearby. Argasan acknowledges that becoming a demonic human has drastically increased his life force and magic power, boosting his attack power from 5 to 81. He sees the goblins as perfect opponents to test their strength after fusion and plans to test his own power afterward. Argasan reflects on his new abilities after fusing with a spider-type monster, noting he can now produce spider silk and that his experience gain has doubled while the required experience is halved, making leveling up much faster. Suddenly, goblins spot him, and he realizes they've been discovered. Argasen commands Lala to unleash the ultrasonic wave, using the skill gained from fusing with the bat to great effect. The powerful sound attack disorients the goblins, and Argasen urges his companions to charge forward together. Argasen explains that Lily gained the charge skill through fusion with a little boar, while Lulu acquired the bite skill by fusing with a kobold. Both companions have grown stronger, and Argasen is determined not to fall behind them. Argasen leaps forward, striking a goblin with a swift, precise attack that catches it completely off guard. The goblin reels back in shock, unable to comprehend the sudden assault. Nearby, two other goblins exchange uneasy glances, clearly unsettled by the unexpected turn of events. Argasen stares in disbelief as he realizes he sliced the goblin clean in two with his worn-out knife. He reflects on how he once lacked the muscle strength to even cut properly, now amazed by his own progress. Suddenly, something catches his attention, drawing his focus away. Argasen is stunned by the rapid consecutive level-ups he's experiencing just from defeating goblins. Wondering if he's also gaining experience from the goblins his companions defeated, he notices everyone's stats have dramatically increased, especially his own, and finds the progress truly amazing. Argasen excitedly reviews his stats, amazed that his attack power and agility have reached an A rank, possibly even rivaling S rank. Filled with newfound confidence, he declares that he might truly become the strongest. Suddenly, a loud roar echoes nearby, catching his attention and leaving him puzzled. Argasen turns to face a towering, monstrous creature roaring fiercely before him. Its immense size dwarfing him completely. Shock and disbelief wash over his face as he stares up at the overwhelming threat. The girl gasps in surprise, asking if the sword bear was spotted in the northern plains. She recalls that the sword bear is a strong monster designated as C rank overall, despite its fearsome reputation. The man confirms there have been consecutive sightings recently, but insists it's only a C rank threat. The girl insists there's no way Argasen is only E rank, shocked by the sword bear's terrifying stats. Its fur sharp as swords and razor-sharp claws, with an A rank attack power alone. The man warns that if Argasen encounters it, he'll be killed. Determined, Argasen contemplates using his demon-human form to tame the beast, telling everyone to stay back as he prepares for what lies ahead. Argasen charges fearlessly at the towering sword bear, roaring defiantly as he prepares to face the deadly beast head-on. With a determined smile, he declares his resolve to defeat it no matter the odds. Argasen lunges at the sword bear with fierce determination, aiming to take down the A-rank monster and gain massive experience to level up all at once. But as his blade strikes, he quickly realizes the beast's defense is tougher than expected. It's hard, he admits, sweat and tension showing on his face. Argasen quickly realizes that neither his knife nor his fists will easily pierce the sword bear's sharp fur, as the beast roars and charges at him with terrifying speed. He braces himself, acknowledging just how fast and dangerous his opponent truly is. Argasen confidently relies on his spider skill, using a rope to swiftly ascend the cliffside. With a determined look, he declares his plan to use this advantage against the sword bear. Argasen tightly wraps his hands with the spider silk gloves, preparing to unleash their power. With a fierce shout, he declares his move, ready to face the sword bear head-on. The monster roars in response, sensing the shift in the battle. Argasen unleashes a powerful punch, shattering the sword bear's tough fur with the force of his spider silk gloves. With fierce determination, he declares he's no longer afraid of the beast's armor. The sword bear reels back, stunned by the unexpected impact. Argasen delivers a devastating blow, smashing through the sword bear's rocky armor with explosive force. The impact sends shards flying as the beast staggers backward, overwhelmed by the unexpected power. Breathing heavily, he realizes he has won. He defeated a C-rank monster, despite the exhaustion. A determined resolve fills him as he vows to become even stronger, enough to make Kanado and the others regret underestimating him. As the protagonist prepares to leave, they confidently assure that the request will be completed quickly. A cheerful farewell is exchanged, but suddenly, a large hand swiftly reaches toward them, catching them off guard. Nemura-san gently stops Argasen, asking if he's in a hurry and reminding him not to run inside the guild. Argasen apologizes with a sheepish smile, while Nemura-san comments on how much stronger Argasen has become, prompting a surprised reaction from a nearby girl. The moment ends with a warm, approving smile from Nemura-san. Nemura-san observes Argasen's impressive physique and agility, noting how much stronger he has become compared to before. Others nearby speculate that Arga-san must be at a high level, surprised by his growth. The conversation ends with a curious remark about whether Arga-san is taking on requests today as well. The girl explains that Arga-san spends his days tackling low-difficulty tasks, like exterminating 3 horned rabbits multiple times daily, which she doubts is enough for rapid growth. The man listens quietly, seemingly pondering her words. Arga-san considers the horned rabbits, noting they might be useful for fusion, and decides to tame one. Suddenly, someone calls out to him urgently. Arga-san turns around calmly and asks if they need something. 2 imposing men introduce themselves as Razzle and Norsher. Confronting Arga directly, Arga's expression tightens as they call him out as the E-rank Tamer who was banished by Kanado-san. Razzle and Norsher boast about Kanado-san's legendary rise to S-rank at 18 and their own desire to join his party. Mocking Arga for being a weakling who stayed accepted for 2 years, Arga brushes off their accusations with a carefree attitude, dismissing their jealousy and showing no concern for their anger. The tension rises as the men grow more frustrated with Arga's nonchalant response. Razzle yells furiously at Arga, demanding to know why he can smile despite being a disgrace. He accuses Arga of causing trouble for Kanado-san, the idol everyone admires, and insists Arga should be reflecting and apologizing. Arga, unfazed, questions the idea of reflecting with a calm, puzzled expression. Arga defiantly refuses to reflect, turning the blame on Kanado for forcing him to join the party and neglecting him until the end. His harsh words ignite fury in the others, who angrily call him a bastard and question his loyalty for insulting their admired idol. The B-rank men, angered by Arga's insult, aggressively draw their swords, ready to teach the E-rank brat a lesson. Nearby, a worried girl urges her master to intervene and stop the escalating conflict. Another guild member reacts with alarm, questioning the recklessness of drawing weapons inside the guild. The guild master suggests holding back to observe just how much Arga has improved. Despite the warning, 2 B-rank men charge forward, weapons raised, shouting an attack. Calm and focused, Arga prepares to defend himself against their assault. With swift precision, Arga counters the dual assault, his blades slicing through the air as one attacker stumbles back in frustration. The onlookers watch intently, their expressions a mix of surprise and anticipation. The second assailant is sent hurtling backward, clearly overwhelmed by Arga's unexpected skill. The guild member scolds the fighters for violating the rule against using weapons inside the guild, calling them idiots. Meanwhile, the defeated men grumble about being lectured and express their frustration at losing to an E-rank Tamer. Tension rises again as one of the men clenches his fist, ready to continue the confrontation. The 2 B-rank men launch a fierce double punch, their muscles straining with effort. One of them grits his teeth in frustration, muttering "damn." As his attack is met with resistance, Arga remains composed, narrowly dodging the powerful blows aimed at him. Arga senses something off about the B-rank fighter's sluggishness and unstable stance, suspecting it might be a deliberate trap to lower his guard. Though unsure of the exact reason, his instincts warn him to stay alert. Arga seizes the moment, delivering a powerful counterattack that sends one of the B-rank fighters flying through the air. He decides to play along with the confusion, knowing it will create openings for him to exploit. His sharp focus sharpens as he prepares for the next move. Arga hesitates, noticing one opponent standing completely still, his mind racing to figure out if this is another trap and where the next strike might come from. Determined to break through the deception, Arga boldly demands to see what kind of trap it is, launching a punch toward the motionless fighter. Just as Arga makes his move, a voice urgently calls out to him, warning that the opponents are still scheming. Despite the concern, Arga remains composed, but is urged to step aside for safety. The tension rises as the threat of hidden plans lingers in the air. Arga is told firmly that the fight is already over, as both B-rank opponents are incapacitated. Despite his disbelief, others explain that his senses haven't fully caught up to his true strength yet. One man points out that Arga has grown strong enough to easily overpower B-ranks, and that everyone but him understands this fact. The man explains that the Tamer effortlessly defeated 2 strong B-rank opponents without using monsters, revealing that their movements were far beyond E-rank. He warns Arga to show restraint from now on, emphasizing the difference in strength. Arga, surprised and sweating, nervously agrees to hold back. Arga is stunned as he contemplates the idea of showing restraint, struggling to grasp that he has grown strong enough to need to hold back in a fight. The realization sinks in slowly, leaving him both surprised and uncertain. Meanwhile, a man watches Arga walk away, silently observing the weight of this new understanding. The girl acknowledges Arga's sudden surge in strength, wondering aloud why it happened so quickly. The man, looking out the window, shrugs it off with a vague, "Who knows?" Meanwhile, a woman suspects that Arga's mysterious second job might be the key and decides to investigate further. The woman inquires about the second job, asking if it refers to the person from earlier. Suddenly, a group of onlookers notices a strikingly beautiful woman entering, quickly recognizing her as Sissel. Sissel Lucergel, humanity's strongest and an SSS rank, calmly introduces herself with a confident smile. Her curiosity piqued. She eagerly asks about the mysterious man from earlier, seeking answers. A giant, menacing centipede crawls through the rocky cave, its many legs clattering against the stone. The cavernous tunnel echoes with the creature's chilling presence. The young adventurer, wide-eyed and sweating, watches nervously from behind a rocky ledge, clearly alarmed by the looming threat. The adventurer, catching his breath, admits the route is too dangerous to take anymore and curses Kanado if he dies. Suddenly, someone else hears the name Kanado and reacts with surprise, while a calm woman stands confidently nearby, her presence shifting the tension in the cave. The young adventurer cautiously asks the mysterious woman why she's alone in such a dangerous place. She smiles warmly and explains she's searching for Kanado's party, wanting to ask them something important. The adventurer sadly reveals that Kanado's group has already left, while the woman quietly contemplates the cavern's dark depths. The young Tamer recalls the harsh words and rejection from Kanado's party, feeling abandoned and worthless. As he struggles onward alone, a woman approaches and recognizes him as the new Tamer from Kanado's group. She eagerly asks if he has heard any news from Kanado, specifically about the former Arga-kun. The young Tamer admits he's heard a lot about Arga, especially since he was often compared to him, and acknowledges Arga's superior monster knowledge. The woman listens intently, then asks with curiosity if he's heard about Arga's abilities. Meanwhile, the other man insists that Arga would have known, recalling times when they didn't even know a monster's name. The young Tamer nervously asks if they mean the ability to crossbreed monsters, but the others quickly dismiss the idea, insisting it's a different skill beyond a Tamer's reach. They mockingly suggest Kanado's group hired an incompetent Tamer, while the woman calmly explains that such feats were seen so often they became considered normal. Her eyes sparkle with excitement as she eagerly demands, "About that, tell me in detail." Meanwhile, the young Tamer, deep in thought and slightly uneasy, responds with a hesitant As he contemplates how to answer, the serene landscape around them contrasts with the tension of the conversation. The young Tamer observes the little chimera dragon, Lala, now evolved, and reflects on its grotesque transformation. He recalls how it suddenly glowed when it leveled up. Realizing this change is far from ordinary, despite its evolution, he can't help but feel unsettled by the creature's strange new form. The young Tamer admits his responsibility for Lala's unsettling evolution, realizing that his careless fusion of incompatible monsters influenced the creature's abnormal development. Though the stats aren't terrible, he still feels uneasy about the outcome. Suddenly, something nearby catches his attention, prompting a sharp reaction. The young Tamer stands before the ominous entrance of the Palpari labyrinth, flanked by Lala and another creature. The labyrinth's deep, circular pit and barred doorway hint at the dangers that lie within. A sense of foreboding fills the air as they prepare to enter. Confident in their strength, the young Tamer declares the labyrinth beginner-friendly and ready to be challenged. He plans to use the fusion materials inside to correct Lala's evolution and sets off with determination, urging his companions to move forward. Suddenly, a swarm of aggressive insect-like monsters and a strange humanoid creature armed with a sword charge toward the Tamer and his companions. Without hesitation, the young Tamer swiftly draws his weapon, ready to confront the unexpected threat head-on. The young Tamer commands the smaller insects to scatter, revealing that his true target is the metal stag beetle. He explains that this beetle possesses both beetle-type and steel-type elements, essential for correcting Lala's evolution. The young Tamer spots the metal stag beetle and immediately tries to tame it, but despite multiple attempts, each one fails. Frustrated, he reminds himself that only 3 taming attempts are allowed per monster. Determined, the young Tamer declares that if he fails to tame the metal stag beetle, he will still gain its abundant experience and move on to the next target. With his confidence rising, he urges his companions to push further into the depths. The young Tamer and his companion discuss the fusion of monsters, wondering if it not only changes their appearance but also their strength. She speculates that both Arga and the fused monsters might become incredibly powerful. Curious, the young Tamer asks why she thinks that, while he reveals he's heard something about Arga. She begins to explain the concept of fusing a baby Drago, hinting at its significance. Suddenly, a monstrous creature bursts through the rocks, causing the young Tamer to scream in shock and fear. The tense atmosphere escalates as the threat looms closer. The young Tamer nervously expresses his gratitude, while the woman confidently assures him that confirming their situation was fortunate. She encourages him, saying he's lucky to be able to cut ties with those unpleasant foes and return safely, her demeanor calm despite the looming threat behind them. The monstrous creature looms menacingly as the young Tamer stares in shock. Suddenly, the confident woman reveals herself as Sissel, an SSS-rank warrior, drawing her jet-black sword and offering to escort him outside as thanks. The young Tamer's fear turns to astonishment at her unexpected arrival. Sissel's expression softens as she reads a report, revealing surprise at the existence of Argakuin, a rare tamer and fusionist. The scene shifts to a quiet moment outside the ruins, where she waves farewell to the young Tamer, hinting at a new beginning. The imposing ruins stand silent, marking the end of one chapter and the start of another. The man hesitates, admitting he's not close to Arga but has been observing him out of curiosity. The girl questions if he truly understands Arga's abilities, while another listens intently, intrigued by the mention of dragons and Arga's self-taught rise as a high-difficulty tamer. The man reveals that Arga's companion is a baby dragon, a rare and weak dragon species. He explains that dragons normally cannot be tamed, as they judge their opponent's talent and only accept taming if they sense great power or potential. This makes Arga's bond with the dragon all the more extraordinary. The man admits he hasn't confirmed whether Arga truly tamed a dragon. Despite the impressive claim, the girl reflects on the unusual combination of fusion art and a baby dragon. Determined to uncover the truth, the man decides to investigate personally. Determined to uncover the truth, she decides to hear the story from Arga's former companions, feeling confident that confirmation has been obtained. Meanwhile, a mysterious figure appears, addressing Arga directly and hinting that he might be the key to fulfilling their dream. The question lingers. What are the true intentions behind this enigmatic beauty? A fierce Oni bursts through the corridor, roaring with rage as it charges forward. The scene shifts to a hidden cave entrance, hinting at a secret passage. In the final moment, the Oni lunges aggressively toward a person and a small animal, ready to attack. The Oni crashes to the ground, clearly weakened, while the small animal bravely confronts it. The observer remarks on how much everyone has grown, noting that even the labyrinth boss, a D-rank ogre, is no longer a threat. Confident in their progress, they suggest it's time to tame the Oni soon. The Oni roars fiercely as it throws a powerful punch straight at the person standing firm before it. Despite the force, the person remains unshaken, their calm reaction catching the Oni off guard. A subtle, confident smile spreads across the Oni's face, hinting at a shift in its attitude. With unwavering confidence, the person effortlessly blocks the Oni's powerful punch, their calm smile revealing just how far they've come. They declare that even D-rank monsters can no longer harm them, showcasing their remarkable growth and strength. The defeated Oni crashes to the ground, emphasizing the clear shift in power. With the defeated Oni lying still, the person calmly approaches the treasure chest that the boss dropped. As they open it with curiosity, their expression suddenly shifts to surprise, wondering what unexpected contents lie inside. Feeling incredibly lucky, the person reflects on their fortune with a bright smile as they stroll through the bustling town. Their excitement grows upon discovering not just one, but two rare horn of battle drops from the ogre, a valuable and unexpected treasure. The person excitedly calculates the odds, realizing that obtaining two rare items is a 1 in 100 million chance. Leaving them in awe of their incredible luck, they contemplate their next move, deciding to keep one item and sell the other. Knowing it could sustain them for years, suddenly someone calls out their name, catching their attention. Kanado's sudden appearance catches the person off guard, who grimaces at the sight. Kanado's imposing stature, flanked by two companions, surprises everyone, prompting a shocked question about what happened to his body. Reflecting quietly, the person realizes they've grown so much that they now look up to Kanado, wondering if becoming a demon human and leveling up caused this change. The group teases the protagonist about his sudden growth, joking that he must have gotten into weird drugs because he was embarrassed about being short. When the rare ogre's drop is mentioned, disbelief and suspicion arise, with some accusing him of either leeching off a random party or outright stealing the item. The tension rises as one character proudly shows off a sparkling B-rank rare drop, taunting the other who only managed a D-rank item with his monsters. The boastful challenger mocks Arga, claiming he only has knowledge while everything else about him is worthless, daring him with a pointed question about jealousy. The challenger offers a tempting invitation, boasting that joining their group means access to better rewards and asks if the protagonist wants to come back. With a sly grin, the protagonist responds ambiguously, acknowledging the offer but leaving his true feelings unclear. The protagonist reflects on how his former group is struggling with the labyrinth conquest due to their lack of monster knowledge. He notes that they get easily excited over worthless items like a simple ring, failing to realize that high-rank rare drops aren't always superior. Despite their invitation, he remains detached, silently acknowledging their desperation. The protagonist scoffs at the desperate attempts of others trying to recruit him again, mocking their belated recognition of his worth. When questioned if he would ever join them, he retorts sharply, refusing their kindness with a fierce kick that sends creatures flying. His defiant "shut up" leaves no doubt about his rejection. The group reacts with shock and disgust at the sight of a strange, chimera-like creature, struggling to identify it as a hairy wolf that feels different from the usual slimes. The protagonist, clearly irritated, commands the creature to disappear immediately. Meanwhile, a bystander laments their bad luck in encountering such troublesome people, while the group grumbles about the protagonist's violent approach, calling it barbaric but ultimately conceding. The protagonist declares that living carefree for 3 years is no longer an option, vowing to become so strong that no one can look down on him. Meanwhile, the group expresses frustration and concern over their failed attempt to recruit him again, acknowledging the difficulty of conquest without a knowledgeable tamer. One member resigns to finding an alternative plan that doesn't rely on a tamer. The protagonist contemplates exchanging his dull knife for money to buy a better weapon, acknowledging the wear from his many trips to the labyrinth. The merchant agrees to the trade, handing over a coin as the deal is made. The protagonist laughs, thinking he's finally had some luck, but the merchant reveals the knife is a fake and offers to buy it for just 1 gold coin. Suddenly, the protagonist strikes the merchant's hand with force, causing him to scream in pain. The protagonist demands the merchant apologize by buying the most expensive knife in the store for 2,000 gold coins. The merchant, sweating nervously, warns him not to mess with him. Meanwhile, a group of tough-looking onlookers watches the tense confrontation unfold. The protagonist coldly remarks that the world would be better off if this shop closed down, clearly unimpressed, as the merchant lunges forward with a knife, shouting, "Take this." The protagonist effortlessly blocks the attack and sends the merchant flying backward with a powerful strike. The protagonist, energized and confident, declares he's on edge today and that the others are unlucky to face him. Yet, a flicker of doubt crosses his face as he wonders if maybe he's the unlucky one. Meanwhile, the onlookers acknowledge his skill, impressed by his strength and composure. Just as tension rises, a confident woman appears, greeting Argakuin warmly and revealing she knows him. The onlookers exchange surprised glances, unsure who she is, while the hostile merchant threatens to attack her, raising his knives with a menacing grin. The woman sharply warns the hostile merchant to be quiet, reminding him that people are watching. In response, the protagonist swiftly sends the merchant and his allies crashing into the wall, asserting his dominance with a powerful strike. Argakuin is stunned as the cheerful woman reveals herself to be Sissel, someone he recognizes as the strongest human. The shocked onlookers and Argakuin struggle to comprehend what just happened, while Sissel asks if he will listen to her sudden request. Sissel cheerfully asks Argakuin to form a party with her, catching him off guard. He hesitates, unsure if this is a blessing or a curse. As her warm smile lingers, Argakuin grapples with the weight of her unexpected invitation. The girl eagerly asks the boy to form a party with her, her smile bright and hopeful. The boy, surprised, recalls the legend of Sissel, humanity's strongest warrior who single-handedly defeated evil dragons, demon lords, and gods. He wonders why such a legendary figure would want to team up with him. The boy doubts her identity and asks for proof that she's really Sissel. The girl confidently shows off a unique divine bone blade made from an evil god's bone, insisting she's the only one who possesses it. The boy, still wary from a recent bad experience, finally acknowledges her proof. The boy admits he's never seen the divine bone blade before, leaving the girl flustered. Realizing her mistake, she quickly pulls out her adventurer card, embarrassed that she hadn't shown it sooner as undeniable proof of her identity. The boy's shock deepens as he reads her adventurer card, revealing Sissel's 3 powerful occupations and immeasurable skills. Relieved, he finally accepts her as the real Sissel, but still wonders why someone so legendary would want to team up with an E-rank like him. Sissel reflects on her life, admitting she's always been the strongest since childhood, but considers that a tragedy rather than a blessing. She confesses to yearning for challenges and thrills, feeling that being on top from the start has left her life dull and without purpose. Sissel reveals her deep despair after traveling the world in search of a worthy opponent, only to find every foe, no matter how fearsome, weaker than herself. Her hope is reignited when she hears rumors about the boy's unique ability to strengthen monsters through fusion, believing that if he can create the strongest monster, she might finally experience true defeat. The boy, surprised, acknowledges what an incredibly peculiar problem this is. Realizing the truth behind Sissel's intentions, the boy acknowledges her desire for a worthy challenge. Sissel sets a bold condition for their alliance. She wants to fight against him, seeking the thrill of facing a true equal. The boy, nervous but intrigued, agrees to listen to her terms. 1 week later, a massive crowd fills the arena, buzzing with excitement over Sissel's upcoming duel. Rumors swirl. Some say it's a duel, others claim it's an entrance exam for her party. But everyone is eager to witness the bold and reckless Sissel in action. Standing confidently, Sissel prepares to face whatever challenge awaits her in the spotlight. Arga takes in the massive crowd, realizing the word must have spread thanks to those from the shop. He finds the situation quite convenient, while a girl nearby praises him, clearly impressed by the turnout. The boy admits he made a promise to become worthy. Feeling that he isn't yet on Sissel's level, determined, he vows to prove himself in just 1 week. Sissel, intrigued and confident, eagerly challenges him to show what he's got. As the duel begins, Sissel charges forward with unwavering confidence, sword in hand. The boy feels the immense pressure bearing down on him, doubting his chances of winning. Yet, despite his fear, he steels himself, determined not to back down from the challenge. Whispers ripple through the crowd, questioning if Arga is truly Kanato's lackey. As his reputation hangs in the balance, despite the fear of being mocked as Sissel's lackey, Arga resolves to face the challenge head-on. Determined to prove himself and show everyone his true worth, Arga launches forward with fierce determination, his speed and resolve catching everyone by surprise. The crowd gasps, recognizing that he has truly changed. Their astonishment grows as they witness just how fast he has become. Arga reflects on the overwhelming challenge before him, acknowledging that despite a week of intense training and over 100 level-ups, Sissel's defense feels impenetrable. He admits he can't see any way to win against her, as if facing an unbreakable wall. Meanwhile, Sissel remains calm and confident, unshaken by his resolve. Sissel praises Arga for keeping up with her, comparing his strength to when she was just 2 years old. The crowd is stunned to see Arga fighting evenly against Sissel, who once defeated even evil gods in an instant. Arga charges forward with renewed determination, his resolve clear as he faces the daunting challenge. Arga realizes his black dragon fang weapon won't hold up against Sissel's sword forged from an evil god's bone. Sissel, curious, mentions she expected him to summon monsters, but Arga insists he won't use them this time, despite her assurance that she won't kill any monsters. Arga warns that accidents can happen as he lunges forward, sword in hand. Suddenly, monsters leap into the fray, surprising everyone as they charge towards Sissel. A shocked voice calls out, accusing Arga of cheating since he promised not to use his monsters. The tension rises as the unexpected allies join the battle. Arga reveals that the monsters are merely decoys, aiming to distract Sissel so he can strike from behind and land a damaging blow. Sissel acknowledges the tactic, admitting the idea was clever. Suddenly, Arga prepares to make his move, a knife appearing in his hand. The 3 monsters are suddenly blown away in an explosion, but surprisingly, they don't seem to be dead. Arga, seizing the moment, apologizes to everyone and readies his knife, explaining that the blast allowed him to close the distance for his attack. Sissel admits defeat with a smile, acknowledging Arga's victory. Arga explains that moving fast enough naturally creates afterimages, and casually reveals he handled the 3 monsters with just a simple finger flick. Sissel, impressed and resigned, laughs and surrenders. Arga is surprised by the crowd's enthusiastic cheers and newfound respect for Tamers. As the applause continues, a girl asks Arga if he will become her companion, to which he shyly agrees, feeling that he will no longer be mocked. 2 days later, Arga and the girl arrive at the A-rank Kikip labyrinth. The girl expresses her curiosity to see Arga fight monsters in real combat. Acknowledging Sissel's strength but wanting to witness Arga's skills firsthand, Arga agrees with a confident smile, ready to prove himself. The girl asks Arga how the fight was, eager to see him in action again. Arga explains that his true strength can't be fully seen in an A-rank labyrinth since his real ability surpasses it instantly. He admits that, as an E-rank, he's restricted from entering S-rank labyrinths, but confidently suggests they take the test to prove his true power. The girl excitedly reveals the promotion exam that Arga must pass to enter S-rank labyrinths. Arga nervously asks if he'll be okay, and she reassures him that if she recommends him, he can take the test. Suddenly, the mention of an SSS rank promotion shocks Arga, leaving him overwhelmed by the highest rank by circumstance. The group stands before the towering entrance of an ancient, tree-covered fortress, preparing to face the daunting SS rank labyrinth ahead. Despite the nerves, they remain confident in their strategy as they ready themselves for the challenge inside. With fierce determination, the leader declares they can break through even without Arga, or any Tamer at all. The group rallies behind this bold resolve, eager to conquer the labyrinth and earn their promotion to SS rank. dismissing the need for the one they call a loser. Rumors swirl among the guild members about Kanado's party, with whispers that they've resorted to cowardly tactics. Observers exchange knowing glances, skeptical of the group's newfound strategy. Guild members debate Kanado's party's strategy, calling it cowardly for skipping weaker enemies and relying on poison to defeat the boss. They criticize the group for not valuing the crucial knowledge tamers provide, believing anyone with true skill would understand the importance of that information. As the quiet corridor echoes with the sound of footsteps, a man and a woman cautiously peek through a doorway. The man greets someone with a warm smile, apologizing for the wait as they step inside. Nemers greets Arga warmly, acknowledging how much he has grown and expressing understanding of his ambition to challenge the SSS rank. The conversation shifts as Nemers brings up the fact that Arga and his companion have formed a party, prompting a modest explanation from Arga about following Sissel's instructions. The muscular man, arms crossed and serious, demands they stop the pointless small talk and get started immediately. Arga, surprised by the bluntness, questions the remark, while the bearded man calmly steps in to introduce Arga properly. Arga is introduced to Raja, an imposing SSS rank adventurer who will be the examiner for the promotion test. Arga wonders if he has met Raja before, prompting a muscular man to reveal that Raja is his brother. Razzle. Arga recalls Razzle from a previous encounter where he had picked a fight with him at the guild, and he reflects on the fact that they are brothers. The muscular man angrily admits that his big brother has been depressed and shut in ever since Arga beat him up. Arga calmly explains that his brother started the fight and got what he deserved, which only makes the atmosphere tenser. Meanwhile, others comment on how Arga made the situation worse, prompting a furious threat from the muscular man. The examiner steps forward, instructing Arga and the muscular man to face each other as he prepares to explain the rules. He assures them the rules are simple. They must fight, and achieving a draw or better will suffice. Both fighters listen intently, the tension between them palpable. Without hesitation, the muscular man launches a fierce, swinging strike aimed directly at Arga. The sudden attack catches everyone off guard, sparking shock and alarm among the onlookers. With a menacing grin, the attacker declares, "First strike wins. I'll kill you." The muscular man's fierce punch narrowly misses Arga, who quickly falls back to the ground in surprise. Before Arga can recover, a powerful kick slams into his leg, sending him reeling. The attacker's confident, menacing grin shows he's fully intent on winning with this first strike. The attacker taunts Arga aggressively, demanding he fight back as he swings his weapon with ferocity. Nearby, a young girl watches anxiously, while another pleads with Sisselsan to intervene, insisting the attacker cheated from the very beginning. Sisselsan remains calm and composed, silently observing the tense situation. The young girl reassures everyone with a bright smile, saying, "It's fine. It'll be over soon." Meanwhile, the muscular attacker swings his weapon fiercely, laughing maniacally and shouting, "Die! Die!" as he presses his assault, confident in his impending victory. Arga's eyes narrow with intense focus, his expression shifting to one of deadly determination. The attacker's confident smirk falters as a sudden, swift movement blurs past him. Catching him completely off guard, fear flashes across the attacker's face, realizing the tide may be turning. With a powerful punch, Arga sends the attacker crashing into the wall, his weapon falling uselessly to the ground. The attacker grimaces in pain and shock, struggling to recover from the sudden blow. The young girl is shocked and confused, asking why the attacker wasn't caught off guard. Arga calmly explains that he anticipated a dirty fight and stayed alert, showing his confidence and strategic thinking. The young man realizes the attacker's slow movements might be a deliberate tactic to lower his guard. He recalls having the same suspicion about the attacker's brother, heightening his sense of caution and alertness. Arga reveals he pretended to lose his stance to test the attacker's reaction. Realizing the slow movements weren't intentional, he carefully timed his actions to defeat the attacker without delivering a fatal blow, showing unexpected consideration. When questioned about his evasive running, he explains it was on Nemers-san's orders. Arga confidently asserts that he did show proper restraint during the fight. The older man, moved and impressed, acknowledges how much Arga has grown. The older man firmly declares that Arga has passed without question, acknowledging his skill and growth. He openly recognizes Arga Abilion as an SSS rank adventurer, solidifying his status and reputation. Arga proudly holds up his new SSS rank adventurer card, a symbol of his hard-earned status. His companion cheerfully reminds him that with this rank, he can now enter any labyrinth he chooses. Together, they celebrate Arga's achievement and look forward to the challenges ahead. As Arga contemplates the endless possibilities his new rank offers, his companions excitedly suggest celebrating with a promotion party first. Suddenly, two figures rush forward and bow deeply before him, showing their respect and admiration. Arga's calm moment is shattered as two desperate figures urgently call out to him for help. Their determined expressions and worn appearances reveal the seriousness of their situation, leaving Arga stunned and concerned. The plea for aid comes from Kanado, signaling trouble that demands Arga's immediate attention. Several hours earlier, the group hurriedly ascends a rugged stone path inside a cavern, their expressions tense and determined as they push forward. A massive wooden log crashes down violently, forcing the group to scramble for cover as chaos erupts around them. Despite their desperate efforts, the overwhelming strength of their opponent becomes clear. Kanado's companions urge him not to give up, clinging to hope that he can still reach SS rank, but the harsh reality sets in. This is as far as they can go. As the group debates retreating with a returned stone, they realize there's no safe moment to use it. Suddenly, one of their companions is violently thrown off the edge, leaving everyone shocked and desperate. As Ratone struggles to recover, the group seizes the moment to escape. Despite their fears, they believe Ratone can hold her ground with evasion and defense magic. Urging Sans to use the returned stone now, they prepare to retreat with hopes of returning to help her later. Kanado's face tightens with determination and regret as he urgently calls out to Ratone, promising they'll come back for her. His companions, tense and anxious, prepare to activate the returned stone. Their hope pinned on Ratone's ability to hold out. The looming threat behind them adds to the desperate urgency of their escape. Tensions flare as one member accuses the group of abandoning Ratone and running away, calling it a selfish excuse. The others quickly defend themselves, insisting they're returning to help and didn't truly abandon her. Desperation and frustration mix as they plead for aid to save their companion. Kanado confronts the man he once banished, questioning the sincerity of relying on him now. The man challenges Kanado's resolve, hinting that with the Tamer's knowledge, defeating their enemy should be possible. Meanwhile, a girl nervously insists she's reflecting on the banishment, pleading for understanding, despite the tension. Kanado finally offers to help, surprising everyone around him. Kanado reveals that as an E rank, he initially thought he couldn't enter SS rank labyrinths, frustrating the others, but then he remembers he was just promoted, surprising everyone and shifting the dynamic. Kanado reveals he can now enter SS rank labyrinths, shocking everyone around him. His companions react with disbelief and suspicion, questioning the authenticity of his claim. Despite their doubts and insults, Kanado admits even he is surprised by his sudden promotion and ability. Kanado declares his intention to personally rescue Ratone, insisting that he doesn't need anyone else's help and that they would only get in his way. He promises to hand Ratone over safely at the guild, showing his determination to take full responsibility for the mission. Kanado confidently announces that he and Sissel will take on the labyrinth conquest together. His companions react with shock and disbelief, questioning why someone as formidable as Sissel would ally with Arga. Despite their doubts, Kanado insists this arrangement benefits them all, leaving everyone to reconsider the unexpected partnership. At the entrance of the Assault Labyrinth, Kanado asks for time to fuse his monsters before they proceed. When questioned about his motives, Sissel bluntly states that the others are selfish and undeserving of help, implying they don't need anyone's assistance. Kanado reveals his true motive, admitting that even if he wanted to help, Ratone is likely already dead. With a determined expression, he confesses that he's not helping out of kindness, but to exact his own form of revenge. Kanado confidently declares that he will easily defeat the opponent they all feared and couldn't even touch. As he prepares to fuse his monsters, he vows to make his enemies taste the bitterness of their mockery. When questioned if this is truly revenge, Kanado hints that his plan goes far beyond just this moment. As Kanado's monsters begin to glow, the group realizes this is a sign of evolution. Amazed by the unprecedented transformation, they eagerly anticipate what powerful form will emerge next. As they walk through the labyrinth, the two characters discuss the current threat, noting that there's nothing impressive about it yet. The girl comments that this isn't an SS rank challenge, and criticizes Kanado and his group for relying on cautious tactics, deeming them too weak for this level. Meanwhile, the scene cuts to a fierce battle where a monstrous creature is violently struck against a wall. He dismisses the cautious chicken tactics as foolish, confident that skipping the path and using poison on the boss is a smarter move. However, he acknowledges that this strategy won't work against bosses with immunity to status ailments. Despite this, something about the situation still bothers him. The girl reveals that the labyrinth's boss is a vampire and expresses doubt about Kanado-kun's story. The boy admits he shares the same concern, especially about how Kanado's group was able to retreat. The girl explains that vampires are proud creatures who despise when their prey manages to escape, so Kanado's group should have been stopped by magic interfering with their return stones. She doubts the boss would have let them go easily, even if they offered a sacrifice, suggesting the boss might be a mutant vampire that behaves differently. They consider the possibility that the boss is a rare vampire variant, like a vampire princess or vampire noble, ranked SSS and far stronger than typical SS rank vampires. The boy questions why such a noble being would allow Kanado's group to escape, but the girl calmly notes that sometimes even nobles behave unexpectedly. A blood sword suddenly flies through the air, narrowly missing the boy as it embeds itself into the wall behind him, calmly observing. He recognizes the weapon and remarks on the close call, while a shadowy figure praises his quick reflexes. The girl confidently reveals herself as Reina, the great vampire princess Reina La Rerilcia, and taunts the boy to be proud that he managed to avoid her attack. Her playful yet menacing smile hints at her powerful and noble status. The boy acknowledges Reina's status as an SSS rank mutant vampire princess, while the girl calmly entrusts the situation to Arga. Suddenly, Arga makes a dramatic entrance, causing the girl to react with surprise. Arga stands confidently between two monstrous beasts, unfazed by their presence. The boy smirks defiantly, declaring that even commanding lowly monsters won't be enough to reach him. Meanwhile, the girl recognizes Arga as a Tamer, her expression shifting with intrigue. The group faces vampire princess Reina, whose presence confirms the overwhelming strength behind Kanado and the others' defeat. One of them quietly vows to remember her name, recognizing the weight she carries as an SSS rank opponent. Arga boldly declares that Reina will be the first SSS rank monster he kills. Vowing never to forget her name, he introduces himself, warning her to remember who will be her downfall. Reina, visibly angered, snarls in defiance, refusing to be underestimated. Reina lunges forward with a fierce snarl, calling her opponent an insolent fool as she attacks. In response, the young man commands his companions, Lala and Lily, to spring into action without hesitation. Lala swiftly dodges the wolf's vicious swipe, her eyes sharp and focused. With a powerful kick, she sends the beast flying backward, buying precious time. Meanwhile, another monstrous creature charges fiercely, closing in on the group. Lala unleashes a barrage of magical projectiles, frustration clear in her shout, "How annoying!" As the deadly spears fly toward the charging monster, she urges her allies to get out of the way. With fierce determination, Reina lands a powerful, decisive strike, smashing into the monstrous creature with fierce force. She follows up by swiftly advancing forward, her movement sharp and determined. The beast reels from the impact, clearly shaken by her relentless assault. With a fierce battle cry, the determined woman leaps through the air, aiming a powerful attack at her opponent. The man remains calm and composed, eyes steady as he prepares to face her assault. Her voice cuts through the tension. "Die with regret." Caught off guard, the woman's aggressive strike is firmly intercepted by the calm man, who holds her arms with steady control. He acknowledges her strength, admitting that she is indeed an SS rank opponent. Meanwhile, a pair of monstrous creatures reflect on the unexpected difficulty, noting how much he has had to strengthen Lala and Lee to handle such powerful labyrinths. The woman demands to know if he tested her power against monsters, her anger and disbelief growing. The man calmly admits it was to gauge their current abilities, provoking her further. Struggling against his grip, she questions his humanity in shock and frustration. With a powerful kick, the man sends the woman flying backward, her body crashing hard against the ground. Blood drips from her mouth as she lets out a pained cry, struggling to recover from the brutal blow. He acknowledges her as one of the strongest opponents he's faced, placing her at the highest level, but coldly admits she still isn't as strong as Sissel-san. Her shocked expression reveals the impact of his harsh comparison. Despite the pain and blood, she glares fiercely, refusing to back down. The man's cold expression remains unshaken as he delivers a powerful kick, sending her crashing to the ground. Determined, she clenches her teeth and summons her strength, preparing to fight back. Fueled by rage, she lunges forward with a fierce strike, shouting her anger. The man calmly blocks her attack with a swift movement, his expression unreadable, mocking her impulsiveness. He warns her that she's getting carried away. Just as she tries to defend herself, a sharp blade suddenly pierces through her side, causing her to cry out in shock and pain. Her eyes widen in shock as the blade pierces her, pain flooding her body. Despite the agony, her resolve hardens, and she snarls that she will never forgive Arga. Determined, she prepares to unleash her strongest magic, vowing to tear him apart. Despite her injuries, she unleashes a relentless barrage of magical arrows, her fierce determination shining through as she pushes forward with a wild, defiant grin. The air crackles with energy as the arrows rain down, signaling her refusal to back down. The magical arrows pierce through the air with deadly precision, accompanied by a chilling warning that no one who has been struck by this magic has ever survived. The intense focus of the characters contrasts sharply with the furious, almost manic expression of the girl as she screams, "Die!" As the deadly magical arrows rain down, the tension breaks when the male character calmly summons a dragon, commanding it to unleash its dragon breath. The shocked girl can only respond with a stunned, "What?" as the overwhelming power of the dragon's attack is about to counter the relentless assault. The dragon unleashes its devastating dragon breath, a massive, fiery blast roaring from its jaws. The overwhelming force of the attack clashes head-on with the relentless rain of magical arrows, creating a fierce explosion of power. The male character watches calmly as the battle reaches its explosive peak. The fiery clash continues to rage, with scorching flames and magical arrows streaking through the air. The girl, overwhelmed and trembling, struggles to catch her breath, her fear evident. Meanwhile, the male character remains composed, his gaze steady as the battle's intensity persists around him. The male character declares the battle over, telling Reina that her efforts might have worked on anyone but a tamer like him. Reina, defeated and desperate, pleads softly before finally surrendering. The male character reacts with mild surprise at her unexpected capitulation. Reina breaks down in tears, pleading desperately for her life as she surrenders. The onlookers react with shock and amazement at her unexpected defeat. The male character confirms her loss, while Reina continues to apologize profusely. The girl excitedly points out how rare it is to see a proud vampire princess begging for her life, while the male character, clearly thrown off, wonders what he should do next. Reina nervously steps forward, addressing him with a request, which surprises everyone. Despite his confusion, the male character asks what her wish is, as Reina solemnly begins to plead for something using his power. With tears in her eyes, Reina makes a shocking and desperate plea, asking him to kill her father. The male character, caught completely off guard, responds with stunned disbelief, while the girl beside him looks on in surprise. The man questions the shocking request to kill Reina's father, struggling to believe a proud vampire princess would seek such a thing. Reina confirms the event happened about a month ago, while the man insists there must be circumstances behind it. He then invites Reina to share her story, showing a willingness to listen. Reina recounts how 3 powerful clergy members suddenly appeared in the room she shared with her father, intending to scatter them as usual. But these clergy were unusually strong, and after injecting a mysterious drug into her father's neck, they vanished without a trace. Reina tearfully explains that her father has been losing his sanity day by day, eventually degenerating into a beast, unable to bear seeing him suffer. She believes the only way to set him free is to kill him, her painful resolve laid bare before them. Reina admits her power isn't enough to defeat her father and has been waiting for someone stronger. When asked what he will do, Arga boldly declares, "I'll do it." Reina gratefully thanks him, while another girl reminds him that conquering the labyrinth depends on his success, sparking his curiosity. Arga questions the true nature of the clergy, noting their suspicious reliance on drugs instead of holy magic or medicine. Despite his doubts, he agrees to take on Reina's request. While she firmly declares she is ready, a quiet moment follows as they prepare for the difficult path ahead. Arga is caught off guard by Reina's shy request to be gentle, misunderstanding her completely and reacting in shock. Another girl quickly scolds him, calling him a pervert for assuming the worst, while Reina clarifies she meant making him her companion, not anything inappropriate. The tension breaks with a mix of embarrassment and surprise on both sides. Reina anxiously clarifies that making her a companion means marriage, shocking Arga, who immediately jumps to the worst conclusions. She firmly explains her distrust, warning him she'll keep him in check if he acts strangely. Despite the tension, Reina cheerfully promises marriage once she earns his trust, urging him to just lead her to her father already. As they descend deeper underground, Reina confirms her father now prefers these dim, lair-like spaces. Arga notes the eerie atmosphere, while another girl mentions there are multiple passages leading further into the underground. Arga asks Reina if a group of 3, 1 man and 2 women, had come by recently, but she denies it. He recalls how Kanado and the others used back routes to escape and likely encountered Reina's father. Worried, Arga considers that Raton, who was left behind, might now be in a dire state. As they approach deeper into the underground lair, a terrible smell fills the air, causing concern among the group. Reina points out her father's presence nearby, while the others react to the unsettling scent. Suddenly, a monstrous hand crashes down with force, shattering the ground beneath it. The grotesque figure, with its massive arms and skeletal frame, exhales heavily as it stands menacingly nearby, The group calls out to Lulu, urging her to come forward, while one remarks on the creature's hideous appearance. Meanwhile, the creature hungrily devours a large, raw piece of flesh, its sharp teeth tearing into the meat with disturbing intensity. The group debates using Lulu's detoxification skills on the creature, despite its low level, as a last resort. Suddenly, the creature begins to glow intensely, prompting shock and exclamations about this being a sign of evolution. Right at such a critical moment, an explosion of light follows, catching everyone's attention. The creature's form shifts into a black slime, startling the group. One of them notes that all its stats have increased significantly, while another reads from a document, revealing the species name as Shoggoth, a type they've never heard of before. The man solemnly adds that it's classified as an evil god type. She recalls that when she defeated an evil god before, there was a Shoggoth among its subordinates. They discuss how evil god-type monsters possess mental contamination abilities that can drive people insane. One of them connects this to the drug injected into Reina's father, recognizing it as an evil god-type agent causing madness confusion. She suggests that the drifting evil god's presence might have triggered Lulu-chan's evolution, though she's unsure if it directly influenced the change. Meanwhile, the others question why such cruel actions were taken against their father, realizing the so-called clergy weren't truly righteous. As the monstrous Shoggoth charges toward them, one of the group urgently asks Reina if it's truly okay to kill him. She firmly confirms, and without hesitation, they prepare to face the threat head-on. Determined, he vows to sever the Shoggoth's head, knowing even vampire nobles with high regeneration can't survive such a blow. Suddenly, he senses something unusual, prompting a sharp, startled reaction. As the monstrous fist crashes down, Arga narrowly avoids the deadly blow but is thrown violently to the ground. His allies shout in alarm, noticing his delayed reaction and urging him to stay alert. The tension rises as the Shoggoth looms, ready to strike again. The Shoggoth's massive fist crashes down, narrowly missing Arga as he is thrown back by the force. Reina urgently instructs Arga to create an opening and maintain distance, prompting him to quickly acknowledge her command and prepare to act. Despite being blinded, Arga remains unfazed by the Shoggoth's relentless assault. He realizes he just needs a little more time to harness the new ability he recently acquired. Determined, he braces himself for the next move, ready to turn the tide. Arga commands Lulu to unleash the Madness Confusion spell, summoning glowing rings that rapidly approach the Shoggoth. The monstrous creature reacts with surprise as the magical attack begins to take effect, crackling with energy. Meanwhile, Arga and his allies watch intently, their expressions a mix of determination and hope. The Shoggoth reels back in pain, its anguished cries echoing through the battlefield. It collapses heavily onto the ground, clearly affected by the magical assault. Arga watches intently, ready to seize this critical moment. Arga breathes a sigh of relief, acknowledging that the plan worked. When asked if he was spacing out, he admits he lost concentration due to someone unpleasant distracting him. Despite this, he notes that even in that state, these distractions continue to weigh him down. The group discusses the strange abilities of Ratone, who was abandoned by Kanato, despite vampires not having petrification powers. They speculate that the evil god's influence might have awakened these unexpected abilities in her. Arga apologizes to Reina for the wait, promising to end the fight quickly. Reina looks tense and worried, sweat dripping down her face. Meanwhile, the Shoggoth roars in pain, clutching its chest as it struggles to endure the assault. Arga orders Lulu to cancel the Madness Confusion spell, insisting that despite the Shoggoth's madness, he is still his companion's father and deserves to fight with dignity in his final moments. Reina watches on, moved by Arga's resolve. The battle intensifies as the monstrous foe lunges fiercely, but the determined fighter stands his ground, declaring that this time, it won't end the same way. The tension rises with a roar of defiance echoing through the air. The fighter lands a powerful strike, shattering the monstrous foe's arm into pieces. Undeterred, the beast roars in fury and charges forward with a relentless punch. The clash of fists signals the battle's fierce continuation. The monstrous foe's severed arm flies through the air, its rage undiminished as it snarls fiercely. Nearby, a shocked onlooker covers her mouth in horror, witnessing the brutal intensity of the fight. The fighter's eyes widen in determination as the battle reaches a critical turning point. The monstrous foe's wounds rapidly regenerate, defying the natural decay expected from such injuries. Realizing the battle will drag on endlessly, the fighter resolves that only by cutting off the creature's head can he hope to end the fight. The monstrous foe delivers a devastating punch, smashing through a massive pillar with brutal force. The impact sends debris crashing down, leaving the onlookers stunned and questioning the creature's true intentions. One observer wonders aloud what the foe's destructive plan might be. The fighter swiftly dodges a powerful strike, his movements sharp and precise. Grasping a large rock, the monstrous foe prepares to unleash another devastating attack. The tension escalates as the fighter braces himself against the impending assault. The monstrous foe shifts tactics, swinging a massive rock with fierce determination. The fighter notes the change, realizing punching would leave him vulnerable to slashes. But dodging the attack is still possible. Tension spikes as both prepare for the next move, eyes locked in fierce anticipation. The fighter urgently asks Sissel for help, explaining that if he defeats the foe himself, it won't count as Argakuin conquering it, assuring her that he will be the one to defeat the enemy. He instead requests her to retrieve someone important from a distant location. The fighter explains that he can't fight decisively with Raton nearby, fearing she might get hurt if something shatters. Understanding the risk, Raton agrees to help retrieve the important person quickly. Suddenly, Raton notices something unexpected, her expression shifting to surprise. Raton suddenly realizes that the target has vanished without a trace, her surprise evident. Meanwhile, the enemy's wide, unblinking eyes reveal a tense awareness as the fighter swiftly moves to engage. The battle's intensity escalates as both sides prepare for the next decisive clash. Raton confidently challenges the foe to keep up with her movements, teasing him with a playful wink. As she turns to face him, the enemy lets out a fierce roar, preparing to strike back with full force. An explosion erupts suddenly, catching Raton off guard as she exclaims in surprise. Meanwhile, the fighter calmly thanks Sissel for her assistance, prompting her confused reaction as she watches him carry someone away. Despite her teasing remark about dieting, the girl struggles to carry someone surprisingly heavy. Meanwhile, the fighter, now free to move, confidently prepares to end the confrontation, while Sissel looks on, still trying to fully grasp the situation. The enemy launches a fierce barrage of massive rocks, aiming to overwhelm their opponent. In response, the fighter calls out to his dragon companion, Lala, commanding her to unleash her devastating dragon breath and burn everything down. The tension rises as the dragon prepares to answer the call. Lala unleashes a powerful burst of flames, engulfing the area in thick smoke and fire. The intense smoke obscures the battlefield, leaving the characters struggling to see through the chaos. Sissel and the girl brace themselves, caught in the overwhelming heat and smoke. The enemy, engulfed in smoke and flames, lets out a desperate roar as the heat presses in. Struggling to see through the thick smoke, he glares fiercely, his body tense and ready. Suddenly, he bursts forward, charging aggressively through the chaos. The enemy's fierce roar turns to shock as a small, unexpected creature is suddenly grabbed tightly in a hand. The tension shifts as this mysterious, squirming figure appears in the midst of the chaos. The enemy realizes too late that the figure is just a decoy. With a fierce shout, the attacker prepares to strike, bidding a cold farewell as the tension reaches its peak. The enemy lets out a furious roar as he launches a powerful punch forward with overwhelming force. The attacker's eyes narrow with intense focus, ready to counter the incoming strike. Nearby, Sissel and the girl watch in alarm, their expressions a mix of determination and concern. With a swift, deadly leap, the attacker evades the enemy's brutal punch, a knife poised for a precise counterattack. The enemy's severed arm and detached head fall away, signaling a devastating blow landed in the heat of battle. As the dust settles, Reyna kneels, overwhelmed with grief. Tears stream down her face as she whispers a heartfelt farewell to her father. Nearby, a concerned ally gently asks if she is all right, showing care amid the sorrow. Reyna, tears streaming down her face, insists she's okay despite the pain, explaining that seeing her crazed father suffer was far worse. She expresses gratitude to Argasama, who modestly tells her not to mention it. Nearby, a chest rests quietly on the ground, untouched amidst the emotional moment. The man crouches beside the chest, curious about the boss drop it might contain. His gaze shifts toward the grim sight of the severed head lying on the ground. Meanwhile, the girl looks on with wide eyes, her expression a mix of surprise and anticipation. The severed head suddenly twitches, its eerie eyes wide open and teeth bared in a grotesque grin. The girl urgently points out to Arga that the head is still moving, catching him off guard. The head continues to bubble and writhe unnaturally, hinting at something sinister yet to unfold. The girl urgently leaps forward, grabbing the other girl and shouting for Arga to get away. Her fear clear as the severed head continues to writhe. Arga is caught off guard, his eyes wide with shock as he processes the sudden danger. An enormous explosion erupts, shaking the ground and sending debris flying. The girl screams out to Arga in desperation, her eyes wide with fear as smoke billows around them. The intense chaos leaves their fate uncertain as the scene cuts off. A massive explosion rocks the area, sending debris and smoke billowing into the air. Amidst the chaos, a girl looks on with a mix of shock and concern, whispering the name Argasama as she tries to process what just happened. The explosion was caused by the sudden release of Argasama's full power, catching everyone off guard. Despite his supposed ability to keep up with movements, he didn't evade the blast. Questions arise about why Argasama didn't run away, leading to cautious speculation about what really happened. The possibility arises that Argasama was struck by a mental attack called mental contamination, an evil god-type ability wielded by Reina's father, which may have sealed his movements. The girls react with surprise and uncertainty, questioning if this theory is correct. One of them urgently seeks confirmation from Arga-kun. Arga calmly explains that the explosion wasn't an attack, but something similar, and reveals that Lala protected him during the blast. Relieved, a girl expresses her gratitude, thankful that Arga is safe. Arga presents a small chest, explaining it's a gift from Reina's father and that he sensed the same feelings interfering with his mind. He confirms that Reina's father was the one who disrupted his thoughts. At that moment, desperate pleas echoed in Arga's mind, accompanied by intense emotions and vivid images that overwhelmed his thoughts. Arga senses there's more to Reina's father's message than just a request to protect Reina. As the girls process this, a heavy atmosphere looms, hinting at an additional, urgent plea concealed within the chaos. A man solemnly places a frail, unconscious woman onto a table, announcing that he has brought her back. Those nearby react with shock and urgency, calling out her name, Ratone. The group reacts in shock, noticing Ratone has turned to stone, with some speculating she might have been defeated by a Medusa or a Hydra. Amidst their concern, a confident figure steps forward, stating he ventured alone through the labyrinth and returned unscathed. He then challenges them, asking what they plan to do next. The confident figure questions how they plan to reverse Ratone's petrification. Pressing if they have a curse-breaking item from the boss drop, the group is taken aback. Realizing such an item doesn't exist, doubt and tension rise as they challenge whether the labyrinth was truly conquered. Arga harshly criticizes the group for their selfishness and ingratitude, blaming them for the current predicament. He reflects bitterly on his own mistakes, regretting his association with them and vowing to make them suffer for underestimating him. As he turns away, someone urgently calls out to him. With a sharp accusation, he demands the group, those who abandoned Ratone, to take responsibility and find a way to break the curse. The others react with shock and confusion, questioning the harsh claim of abandonment. The group is confronted with harsh accusations, as voices accuse them of abandoning their companion more than once, stirring unease and denial. The weight of betrayal hangs heavy, with the reminder that abandoning those who trust you is unforgivable. Tension escalates as they struggle to defend themselves against these biting claims. The group erupts in violent anger, hurling bottles and insults at their accuser, branding him a disgrace and scum. Despite their attacks, he cries out in pain and pleads for them to stop, but their hostility only intensifies as they shove him away, warning him to stay far from them. As the tension peaks, the arrival of the guildmaster shifts the atmosphere. One member explains that Arga anticipated this conflict and arranged for the guild to take over. Desperate, they plead for the guildmaster's intervention, hoping to clarify the misunderstood circumstances. Accused of abandoning his companion, he struggles to explain that only she was petrified while he remained unharmed, suggesting a different truth. The crowd remains unforgiving, insisting that regardless of the circumstances, such behavior is disgraceful for adventurers. The tension lingers as they demand accountability, refusing to accept excuses. The guildmaster sternly declares that both of them require reflection and punishment. With a commanding voice, he announces their demotion to E rank, delivering a harsh but decisive judgment. Shock and despair wash over him as he realizes the gravity of being demoted to E rank after 5 years of hard work to reach S rank. The crowd's harsh words push him to urgently find a way to reverse his companion's petrification. Meanwhile, the guildmaster's cold question cuts through the tension, demanding closure. Reina stands gracefully in an elegant dress, her calm demeanor contrasting with the tension around her. A man compliments her, acknowledging the gift from her father and expressing that it suits her well, to which she politely responds with a thank you. Meanwhile, another voice questions her about her plans for revenge against those who wronged her. Arga reveals that he no longer cares about those who suffered, focusing instead on the good companions he has now, calling them the best form of revenge. The women around him agree, sensing his resolve. When asked about his next move, Arga calmly states that he has already made up his mind. Arga reveals that his next move is still tied to Reina's father, explaining that beyond revenge, there was one other important request he made. Reina listens intently, surprised by this new revelation. Arga reveals that Reina's father showed him images of suspicious people and an old building, fragments of memories he sensed when the fake clergy injected him with evil god power. Arga confirms that he's using the images as a clue to find those responsible and seek revenge. Reina nervously admits she also wants revenge but worries about involving Arga and the others in her family's troubles. Arga questions if it's truly okay to proceed with this plan. Sissel reassures Reina that there's no need to hold back since they've become companions, expressing her own desire to pursue those responsible. She shares her concern for anyone involved with evil entities, drawing from her experience of once defeating an evil god. With a determined smile, Arga declares their next step: to search for the old building tied to their mysterious clues. The group moves forward, entering the ruins where remnants of the past stand broken and weathered. Their journey toward uncovering the truth begins amidst the crumbling stones and scattered debris. In a secretive meeting, cloaked figures discuss the recent defeat of the vampire noble. One reveals that it was not humanity's strongest who struck the final blow, but Arga, a tamer and companion to a certain woman, who holds a rare second job. Frustration and disbelief ripple through the group as they process this unexpected news. The cloaked figures express concern over the involvement of the vampire princess, warning it could complicate matters. One of them, with a confident smile, reveals they have an idea. Resolute, they declare that no matter the opponent, they will face them fearlessly for the sake of their noble wish. Arga stands confidently with his companions, determined and resolute. His words echo with unwavering resolve. We'll simply eliminate the obstacles. At last, Arga has achieved his long-awaited revenge. An old man, cloaked and leaning on a cane, confirms that everything is all right before stepping out onto a crumbling balcony. He gazes out quietly, remarking that the view is nice despite the desolation surrounding him. The cloaked man watches over a grim facility filled with strange, large tanks. He instructs one of the workers to continue their work, receiving a firm yes. In response, suddenly, his expression shifts to surprise as something stirs within one of the eerie tanks. Suddenly, the wall near the tanks bursts open, sending debris flying and startling the workers. One of them exclaims in shock as the destruction unfolds. The cloaked old man, alarmed, demands to know what is happening. The explosion rips through the facility, sending shards of metal and debris flying violently in all directions. Workers are hurled backward, their bodies crashing against the ground as chaos erupts around the shattered tanks. The cloaked man recognizes the figure crashing through the facility as the vampire noble's daughter. Shocked that the tamer Arga has arrived, meanwhile, the fierce young woman lands with determination, confidently remarking on her growing fame. Arga confidently strides forward, amused that the old man knows his name, while the girl cheerfully acknowledges his rising fame. The old man, clearly uneasy, asks how Arga found the place, to which Arga reveals he received a tip from a kind vampire noble. Arga declares his purpose to avenge someone, while the cloaked old man, uneasy, listens as Arga casually mentions wanting to learn about the old man's objectives. Suddenly, the old man orders his subordinates to release the magic beasts to attack the intruders, sparking immediate chaos. The magic beasts are unleashed, roaring fiercely as they charge forward. Amid the chaos, the cloaked old man realizes he's at a disadvantage alone and plans to escape while the others are distracted fighting the abominations. Meanwhile, the beasts violently attack, crushing one of the intruders underfoot. The magic beasts loom menacingly as they advance, their grotesque forms dominating the scene. From above, the cloaked old man prepares to make his move, stepping forward with determination. Suddenly, he is startled by a powerful impact nearby, causing him to exclaim in surprise. The cloaked old man, shocked by the sheer destructive power displayed, wonders if the vampire noble's daughter has such strength naturally, or if it's due to fusion enhancement techniques. The young man calmly reveals that he hasn't used fusion at all, surprising the old man who had assumed otherwise. Meanwhile, the vampire noble's daughter stands resolute and unyielding, her presence commanding the scene. The young man reveals that Reina's incredible power is innate, awakened by the fury over what happened to her father. He demands the old man explain his actions against Reina's father, provoking a tense and angry reaction. The old man, visibly shaken and clutching a twisted staff, vows to make them regret their insolence. Reina swiftly disarms the old man but hesitates as the young man urges her not to kill him before they gather the information they need. Noticing the old man's suspicious actions, they decide to hold back. Reina calmly confirms that she did not kill him, despite the attack. The old man, barely clinging to life, admits he prolonged his existence with blood magic, sparking outrage from him. The young woman urges them to use this rare opportunity to question him wisely. She confronts him, suggesting their goal might be to revive the evil god he once defeated, but he vehemently denies such a dream. The old man reveals that the revival of the Lord Evil God is not just a dream but an imminent reality they have been working towards. He explains they collected the remaining blood of the god and implanted it into various organisms as part of an experiment to understand the effects of the god's revival. Reina, furious, declares that her father was sacrificed for such a cause, emphasizing he was meant to be a noble sacrifice, not just a mere offering. The old man reveals that all test subjects will ultimately become nourishment for the Lord Evil God, their flesh and blood fueling its amplified power. He coldly addresses Reina as the sinful daughter who once killed their god, questioning if she understands the consequences of their plan. The old man coldly declares that their god will be reborn with far greater power than before, dismissing Reina's father as unfortunate. He claims that if her father had grown as planned, he would have been collected and offered to the Lord Evil God, which he calls a true honor. Reina, enraged, lashes out, calling him a bastard. As the old man mocks their efforts, he coldly insists that stopping the god's resurrection is impossible because they will all die here. Meanwhile, a confident figure challenges his claim, implying defiance despite the grim fate that awaits them. The monstrous entity looms large, absorbing the surrounding monsters and human corpses, merging their flesh and blood into itself. A girl explains that this desperate magic is meant to unify all the gathered remains, fueling the creature's power. The grotesque mass continues to grow, swallowing everything in its path. The figure reveals that the activation of the grotesque mass was triggered before his decapitation, condemning everyone present to be absorbed into the monstrous flesh. As the mass swells, it declares that everything here, including the defiant group, will become one with the Lord Evil God's nourishment. The group watches in stunned silence as the horrifying fusion unfolds before them. With a confident smirk, the figure dismisses the threat's slow pace and launches a powerful kick, striking one of the monstrous entities. The grotesque mass ripples violently as it reacts to the sudden assault, but the figure charges forward undeterred, ready to confront the horror head-on. The figure coldly accuses the old man of stalling to let the grotesque mass grow, then dismisses him with a final goodbye, as the figure orders to burn everything, including the facility and its inhabitants. The old man curses in frustration. Meanwhile, a strange creature with a skull-like head emerges from the ground, adding to the ominous atmosphere. The old man lets out a desperate, anguished scream as a massive explosion erupts, sending debris flying and shaking the ground violently. The overwhelming force of the blast shatters everything in its path, engulfing the area in chaos. The group reflects on the ongoing threat as one expresses frustration over the revival of the evil god, despite their previous efforts to defeat it. Another apologizes, explaining there are still others they need to avenge, while a third admits they had wanted to kill the enemy themselves. The conversation ends with a weary sigh, acknowledging the burden they must carry. Determined, the protagonist clenches his fist, acknowledging the evil god's advance and resolving that defeating it will bring him closer to Sissel. With quiet confidence, he declares he will handle the evil god, despite the concern shown by his companion. As they stand together, he reflects on his rise from the bottom, ready to face the looming threat. The herbs have been prepared, but their sting is strong as they're applied to the wounds. The urgency to heal quickly is clear, especially since the group will be spending another night in the same spot. The harsh reality sinks in as they acknowledge the rough ground makes resting with their wounds unbearable. They lament the absence of a healer and the lack of funds for an inn. While the one who could heal remains too terrified to help, even earning money through the guild feels out of reach under these circumstances. Tensions flare as the group recalls the beatings and blame Arga for their ruined lives and injuries. One member angrily demands an end to their persecution, insisting the real villains are those who target them. Meanwhile, a concerned companion quietly asks if anyone is hurt, trying to cut through the chaos. Suddenly, a strange creature slithers onto one member's arm, causing alarm and shouts of, "A monster!" Despite the initial fear, the creature's touch miraculously heals the wound on his arm, leaving him astonished. A mysterious figure calmly offers to heal all the wounds, despite the shock and fear from the others. One injured member, wide-eyed and trembling, asks with disbelief, "Who are you?" The healer's unsettling smile hints at something deeper beneath their gentle promise. Reina beams brightly, her cheerful smile lighting up the moment. When asked about her mood, she happily reveals that she's on a date with Lord Arga, clearly excited and full of joy. As they take a brief respite before facing the evil god, a playful conversation unfolds about whether spending time alone counts as a date. Amid the lighthearted teasing, the weight of their mission lingers, prompting a quiet curiosity about the true nature of the evil god they must confront. He admits to knowing little about the evil gods but shares that they are said to come from space and possess the terrifying potential to destroy entire planets as they grow. A serious resolve forms as he emphasizes the need to defeat such a dangerous force if it begins to revive. Apologizing quietly, he acknowledges the heavy burden of their mission. Reina reflects on how her quest to avenge her father has unexpectedly become a much bigger matter. Lord Arga reassures her that she need not apologize, expressing gratitude for the knowledge she has shared about the evil god's revival. Their conversation deepens as he asks how many people have actually defeated an evil god, highlighting the gravity of their mission. Lord Arga reveals that only 2 people in the world have ever defeated an evil god. Sissel and Lukumi Milk Tea. He explains that Lukumi, like himself, is a tamer and is recognized as the first and strongest SSS-ranked tamer in history, serving as the ultimate goal for all tamers. Reina reacts with surprise upon hearing Lukumi's name. He confidently declares that defeating an evil god would put him on par with the legendary Lukumi and Sissel, bringing him closer to becoming the strongest. Reina, intrigued, wonders what kind of person Lukumi is, grateful for the opportunity their meeting has given him. He expresses his thanks, while Reina looks on with a gentle smile. He admits he's never seen Lukumi and that even Sissel hasn't met her, adding that rumors say Lukumi searched for the legendary monster Balzard, though no one knows for sure. Confident, he believes that if they keep getting stronger, they might one day meet her, just like they met Sissel. As they reflect, he notes that Sissel hasn't returned yet, suggesting it might still be too early to expect her back. A cloaked figure observes the town below, remarking on the strongest woman in humanity being out shopping while 2 others are leisurely having tea. He scoffs at their carefreeness, confident that as long as they remain this way, it will be their advantage. The cloaked figure reveals their plan to buy time for the Lord Evil God's revival by moving him far away while their enemies rest, preventing them from reaching him in time. Though the enemies don't yet know the Lord's location, it's only a matter of time before they find it. Confident, the figure believes that once the Lord Evil God revives, victory will be theirs. The man using the spyglass suddenly realizes the figure is looking directly at him, causing him to panic. The figure calmly announces that Sissel has returned and senses Lulu's aura nearby, leaving the man confused and alarmed, desperate to understand what they're talking about. Suddenly, Sissel appears with a bright smile, greeting the man who is visibly shocked and sweating, stammering as he demands to know why she is here. Sissel reveals that she can easily identify evil god cult members by their distinct scent, which comes from their evil god blood. The man, shocked and sweating, realizes that Sissel and Lulu share the same evil god lineage, leaving him stunned and unable to believe what he's hearing. Sissel confidently reveals that they used their unique ability to smell evil gods to swiftly destroy all the remaining research facilities without the man noticing. She admits she rarely gets angry but was determined to stop the revival of any evil god. The man, sweating and anxious, is left to face the consequences as the figure suggests letting Reina decide his fate. The man quickly throws a small explosive device, causing a powerful blast that forces him to shield himself. Reina watches calmly as the device flies through the air. Realizing the situation has taken an unexpected turn, the man decides he must retreat and regroup. The man's shock turns to panic as he suddenly realizes something unexpected. Before he can react, he is forcefully thrown backward, crashing to the ground with a heavy impact. Reina returns confidently, praising Sissel's speed and mocking the man's futile attempt to escape. With a bright smile, she reveals that she has discovered the location of the evil god, turning the tide of the confrontation. The two express their amazement and gratitude for being saved and healed. While the woman reflects with growing concern, she realizes the situation is worse than it seems, especially when the others confirm that Arga is responsible for driving their former comrades into such a dire state. A determined woman steps forward, offering her help for revenge against Arga. Revealing she is a fellow tamer who cannot forgive him, she promises to make them stronger through fusion techniques, surprising the man who anxiously asks her identity. A confident woman steps forward, introducing herself as Lukumi Milk Tea, hinting at her significant power and role as the strongest tamer in history. The group stands before the imposing first labyrinth, a massive circular fortress carved into the cliffs. One of them solemnly acknowledges that this is where the evil god is said to be hidden, bracing themselves for the challenge ahead. One of the group confidently explains that the fortress is indeed the place where the evil god is hidden, based on multiple cult members' stories. They note that hiding it in such a high difficulty, SSS rank labyrinth means fewer people dare to enter, making it less likely to be discovered. The others accept this, ready to face whatever lies ahead, even if the information turns out to be false. A fierce beast lunges at the group, its massive claws swiping through the air. After the attack, The creature lies defeated on the ground. One member reassures the others, noting that even if the rumors about the evil god are false, the labyrinth still holds plenty of rare items worth finding. Facing a fork in the labyrinth, the group decides to split up to cover more ground. One member volunteers to take one path, promising to return if it's a dead end. While the others agree to do the same, with their plan set, they prepare to explore the diverging routes. As the group prepares to split up, concern arises over Sissel's safety alone, but confidence in her skills quickly reassures them. They acknowledge possible traps ahead and agree to proceed cautiously. Suddenly, Reina's expression shifts with a startling realization, catching everyone's attention. Reina excitedly realizes that Sissel being alone could almost feel like a date, causing a flustered reaction. Meanwhile, another member sternly tells Reina to stay back in the shadows, prompting her to quickly apologize and back away. Sissel reaches a dead end and realizes this path is a bust. Suddenly, she senses something unusual. The scent of the evil god's blood. She warns that the monsters here are far from ordinary. Sissel confronts two grotesque monsters, recognizing their eerie resemblance to survivors from the evil god cult's research team. She notices the distinctive glasses, sparking a chilling realization. One monster accuses her of surviving only by having the evil god's blood forced into her. Sissel boldly challenges the monstrous figures, accusing them of being the true villains trying to destroy the world. Enraged, the monsters lash out, screaming for her to die. Calm and resolute, Sissel grips her sword, ready to face their attack head-on. With swift precision, Sissel strikes back, decapitating the grotesque monsters as their twisted heads explode from their bodies. Her sword cuts through the abominations with deadly force, turning the tide of the battle. The severed heads of the monsters fall to the ground, their mouths still twisted in a final scream. One head utters a chilling, broken plea, barely audible. Suddenly, a glowing magical circle appears beneath them, catching Sissel's attention as she turns sharply, sensing something ominous. The magical circle pulses with an eerie energy as smoke rises from its center, revealing the fallen monsters lying motionless within its glow. Sissel stands at the edge of the circle, her sword still in hand, eyes fixed on the unsettling scene before her. Confusion and suspicion cloud her face as she whispers, "What? Just now?" Arga and his companion cautiously navigate the ancient stone corridors, searching for the evil god's chamber. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls out to Arga, causing his eyes to widen in shock as he recognizes who's speaking. Arga is startled when a familiar voice calls out to him. It's Kanado, the very person who exiled him. Kanado greets him cheerfully, revealing he's been waiting because he heard Arga was coming. But Arga remains cautious, questioning Kanado's true intentions. Kanado declares his intent plainly, revealing his hatred and desire to kill Arga. Sissel reacts quickly, ready to confront the threat, but Arga senses something is wrong beneath the surface. They piece together the strange situation. Kanado, now demoted to E rank, shouldn't be able to enter an SSS rank labyrinth. Yet here he is, and Sans is calm despite not being with him. Doubts arise as they debate whether to be cautious or wait and see Kanado's next move. Suddenly, Reina bursts forward, determined not to let their alone time be interrupted any longer. Reina charges forward with full force, catching Kanado off guard and knocking him to the ground. She smirks confidently, dismissing the threat as insignificant, while Sissel watches with a mix of surprise and confusion. Reina launches a powerful kick, sending Kanado crashing to the ground with force. Arga shouts her name in alarm, while Kanado lets out a sinister laugh, unfazed by the attack. Kanado taunts Arga, mocking him for keeping a monster that disobeys orders, revealing his disdain for Arga's control. Arga, still struggling, is criticized as a poor tamer, while Kanado's sharp gaze and recognition of the monster's voice hint at a deeper connection to Reina. The tension rises as Kanado questions if the monster before him is truly called Reina. Kanado taunts Arga with a cruel smirk, mocking the monster he tamed as equally foolish. Reina, clinging to Kanado's back, grins mischievously, adding to the biting insult. The tension between them thickens, revealing a deeper, bitter rivalry. Kanado mocks Arga's distressed expression with a cruel grin, daring him to punish the monster himself. Reina, clinging to Kanado, confidently declares she will take Arga's place in disciplining the creature. Meanwhile, Sans watches in shock as Kanado and Reina charge forward, demanding the monster obey their master's orders. Kanado delivers a powerful kick, sending the monster crashing into a wall with force. As the dust settles, he urgently pleads with Reina to open her eyes, desperation clear in his voice. Meanwhile, a sinister laugh echoes nearby, hinting at a darker presence watching the chaos unfold. Despite their injuries, they laugh off the pain, proudly declaring that they've grown stronger. Confused, the dark-haired man questions if the evil god cult harmed them, but they reveal it was actually a kind Tamer who changed them this way, leaving him stunned. A sinister figure reveals the existence of a legendary Tamer named Lakumi Milk Tea, who is stronger and more capable than Kanado. Shock and disbelief wash over Kanado's face as he struggles to comprehend this revelation.